And we'll begin with the roll call. Commissioner Hughes. She was present. Commissioner Fair. Commissioner Rubin. Present. Commissioner Ponce.
Present.
Commissioner Boatright. Oh, she left. And I'm here, and we have a forum, and I'd like to begin with a motion to approve the minutes from our November 9th meeting. We have a motion. Commissioner Hughes, we have a second. Commissioner Fair, and all those in favor? Aye. Motion carried unanimously, and we posted on the commission's website. There's one project on today's agenda for today's meeting, and the staff and commissioner present the project on the agenda and state their recommendation. Following the staff presentation, the committee will have an opportunity to ask questions of staff. The applicant may then make a statement. Following the applicant's statements, members of the public can make their statements. I'd like to ask anyone other than the applicant wishing to make a statement on the item on today's agenda to complete a public comment card and give the card to a member of the staff. Comment cards are available at the door. As courtesy to individuals wishing to offer comments, we ask the members in the room to limit their statements to 2 minutes, 3 minutes or less. When time comes for a comment on the item on the agenda, I will call the names from the cards and ask you to please state your name, the interest, organization, or company you represent, if any. Our project today is 22522 West Logan, in the first ward, Alderman Espada, Logan Square Boulevard's district is the proposed exterior and interior renovations and visible dormers to a non-contributing building, including alterations to the front. Joyce, presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a 1.5-story frame single-family home constructed in 1885. The building is on the eastern edge of the district on the northeast corner of Logan Boulevard and Maplewood Avenue. Immediately to the east is state-owned undeveloped land that abuts the Kennedy Expressway. And the subject building was categorized as non-contributing in the Logan Square Boulevard's district landmark designation report. This determination is preliminary and non-binding to the commission. First, we will determine if this is a contributing or non-contributing building to the Logan Square Boulevard's district. Then we will evaluate the proposal based on the criteria for new construction, additions, and alterations to non-contributing buildings. The Logan Square Boulevard's district designation reports notes a small number of buildings in the district have significant material changes and unsympathetic additions, which could make them potentially contributing or non-contributing. The building catalog for the district preliminarily identifies wood frame buildings that predate the development of the boulevards and no longer retain a high degree of integrity, such as having undergone significant changes, alterations, and additions as non-contributing to the character of the district. According to the 1896 Sanborn map, the subject building had a 1-story covered front porch. A later Sanborn map from the 1950s shows that a 1-story addition was added to the front of the house. The covered porch that is there today was added in front of this addition sometime after the 1950s. A smaller 1-story addition, 2 smaller 1-story additions were also added to the rear, and the building is currently clad in vinyl siding. Subject property has been significantly altered and includes substantial additions to the front and rear elevations. It does not have a high degree of integrity or share particular styles, details, and craftsmanship that categorize the historic buildings in the district. And staff recommends that the building is non-contributing to the district. Now we'll discuss the applicant's proposal. The photo at the bottom right shows a non-historic 1-story front addition that extends past the original gable front facade. And the applicant is proposing to extend the gable roof to align with the front facade of the 1-story addition, as well as constructing dormers on the existing roof to provide additional living space on the 2nd floor. On the west elevation, which faces Maplewood Avenue, the existing gable dormer to the north will remain. Areas of the roof to the south will be removed to construct a new gable dormer on the south end of the roof with a shed dormer set back 1 foot in between. This will visually break up the length of the dormer, so it has the appearance of 2 separate gable dormers. And the ridge height of the new dormer will be 1 foot lower than the main ridge height of the house. East elevation faces the undeveloped land that is owned by the state, and the existing dormers will be demolished and replaced with a new gable dormer and a shed dormer directly behind. The applicant is also proposing to remove the roof behind the new dormers, and the east elevation wall will extend up to be a continuous 2-story wall to create more space on the 2nd floor, as well as to provide a new roof deck above. The roof deck will have a glass railing to minimize its appearance and will be lower than the ridge of the main house. And the roof deck will be accessed by a stair enclosure located at the rear of the house that will extend above the ridge of the main house. And the roof deck and the stair enclosure will be located at the rear and will be minimally visible from the public way. The staff recommends approval of the proposed locations, sizes, and shapes of the new dormers and alterations to the design. The proposed changes to the roof will create a simple gabled front elevation, which was the historic shape of the building and is compatible with the adjacent historic buildings and other frame houses within the district. A new sloped roof will be constructed over the existing porch. Double hung windows are proposed to be installed in the dormers. Staff recommends that the windows be wood or clad wood windows, and section detail shall be submitted with the permit plans. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing vinyl siding and replace it with new fiber cement siding. The first floor is proposed to be painted white, and the second floor is proposed to be painted iron gray. The shed dormers are also proposed to be painted iron gray. The gable dormers in the doghouse are proposed to be clad in fiber cement panels and evening blue. Staff recommends that all the siding on the first floor facades and the second floor front and back gable shall be painted white to be consistent in color with a smooth finish and 4-inch lath exposure. The dormers in the doghouse should also be clad in fiber cement siding but painted iron gray to closely match the color of the shingles in order to minimize visibility. And I wanted to note that the staff's recommendations on the materials and color selections is not about the colors themselves, but based on the hierarchy of the elevation. The applicant may choose different colors, but they need to be consistent across the surfaces, such as the main elevations, dormers, trims, and the porch elements, for example. That said, staff is recommending approval for the proposal with the conditions mentioned during the presentation and also listed here in the slide, but would like the committee to consider modifying the third recommendation to say something like the fiber cement siding on the first floor facades and the second floor front and back gables shall be consistent in color. And the fiber cement siding on the dormers and stair enclosure shall be consistent in color, and all siding shall have a smooth finish and 4-inch lath exposure. Alderman Laspada submitted a conditional letter of support. The Logan Square Preservation Group has reviewed the project and is in support of the proposal. And that concludes my presentation. The architect is also here today. Also the rest of the applicant, the owner and attorneys. So please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Joyce. Any questions for Joyce before we move on?
For dimensions 1 to 3. So we're in this rendering where we see the gable frame from the side. We're recommending to be like
That's correct. Yeah.
okay.
Well, not white. They just
But
could
it's
make
like
them
with
color. So I mean, they could choose it to be white or another color as long as it's the same.
That's the, okay, and then you said the gables would be iron gray. Does that include the full length of the gable or just the gable? The two,
It
or
could
I'm
be,
sorry, dormers.
yeah, the 2 gable dormers on each side,
Yeah.
including the shed dormer in between.
So
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Okay.
For that consistent for color. Yeah.
We hear from the architect, Mr. Swing. Yes.
I just want to thank you for your time and effort to take care of the city and preserve it. So Tony here and his wife, they lived and grew up in the city, and they lived in this house for about 18 years. So they're looking for additional space, and I think our initial proposal was to expand the second floor as much as we could. And I think this solution is kind of the middle point to where we started, and I think preserves the house, the original frame nature, the look of the neighborhood, and I think it's a good point where we can just get the colors matching. So Tony and his wife, Tony's a police officer and his wife's a CPS teacher, and they lived here for 18 years.
So we grew up, my wife grew up in Logan Square in the 70s. I grew up in Wicker Park in the 70s. It was a lot different back then. And then we moved to Holman and Adams, where my dad still stays. Sorry. It's a little emotional. So it was really big for us to be able to come back to the community that we grew up in. As I don't know what's going on. As Puerto Ricans who grew up in that community, it's very important for us to have come back and raised our kids in an area that we knew from before, where changes had happened, and then we were able to come back. When we bought the house 18 years ago, the house was older and there really weren't any updates or anything modern, and we didn't have money at the time because we were both just starting out on our jobs. 23 years in the military with 4 deployments, and then 24 years on the police department, and then my wife being a school teacher. And then sadly with my dad passing, but he had left us some money. Now we're in the position to not only make some changes for when our kids come back from college to have a place to stay, but also my older daughter, who also now moved into Wicker Park, when they're starting a family, to have grandkids over and stuff like that. As I'm sure you'll see in the plans, the first floor with the larger kitchen to entertain those type of things also took out my son's bedroom. And so that being moved upstairs, you know, hopefully with the additional space, will then grant us a larger area for not only when they come back from school, but for future when family comes in. I really don't want to be one of those people who I finish my career and then leave to go to the suburbs. I've always loved the city. I went to Whitney Young. I'm very active. I'm still active in a lot of good work in the communities because I'm a member of an organization called Alpha Phi Alpha. And obviously my blood, sweat, and tears with the job is also a big part of the city. So that's our story.
Yeah, I think the program for Tony and his wife and his family was to get a bigger second floor, to get 3 bedrooms up there for his whole family, and also a rooftop space for Tony. He has a military injury, and so he needed that space to meditate. So that's something that was a priority.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment to the city. And Commissioners, any questions?
And I want to second, Chairman, and thank you for your service and commitment. My question, first of all, I'm happy that you guys were able to come to a middle ground. I have a question for Joyce. Would this, if, once this comes to fruition, would this property now be considered contributing? Because it does look much more in line with some of the examples you showed prior.
It would still continue to stay. Continue to be non-contributing. Sorry.
Okay. And then, my, I guess, comment for you guys, knowing your heritage and background, these past couple of years, I've been seeing a lot of properties, and her examples illustrated as well, use color. I would say, don't be afraid, to use color. I'm not sure if you guys have thought about that at all.
So it's actually, we were on a phone call yesterday, and this was the initial rendering. And I was like, I really don't want it all in white, you know, there's so many places on the boulevard. Matter of fact, in the prior picture, there's one across the street that has some really nice greenish tones, and so
Another example.
Oh,
no, it's a little further back.
Yeah.
So there, oh, go back. So that one there has some nice greenish tones. That one has greens. I mean, there is a nice variation, and we're definitely interested in that, because not only will it stay with the look of the boulevard, but it'll give people a little color. So we're good with that.
Wow.
Definitely.
I 100% agree, and I encourage it, and, you know, the work with you to make sure it's consistent with the coloring, is consistent with the different levels like we were discussing now. So take a risk, use the color.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, it is partly me being conservative because, we had a timeline
Yes.
to get everything done, so, you know, I'm also thankful that we get to work with Joyce because, you know, she brought it up and said, well, we can work with you on getting the right colors.
Does the Logan Square Boulevard district have any type of paint guidelines? Is that a thing, or is that just more for consistency and massing to understand? how-
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's just like a hierarchy.
Okay,
Most of it differentiated in the color selections. that we choose.
it's not based on any type of like uniformity or historical precedent. Okay, yeah, obviously.
And realistically, I mean, we're older, we're not trying to look for like neon or, you know, and we really like the foliage. Like Joyce had mentioned, to the east of us is all state property and then the expressway. But the state property has, you know, really nice trees and it really has, you know, nice fall and different colors that we would want to stay at least in that flow.
Commissioner Hughes, any other questions for the applicant?
No, I'd just like to third what commissioners are saying and, you know, congratulations on this next step, exciting step. And, you know, you have this home, obviously you're building special memories. You have special memories and you continue to do that and to do that in the space of, you know, preservation of architecture. It's just, it's a very special thing to do for the city and for your family, obviously. So, thank you. And thank you for your service.
Commissioner Fontaine, there are no further comments or discussion. I'd like to go to the public comment period and I'd like to call on Mr. Wardlow.
Yeah, and go figure. Well, Wirt Miller, Richard H. Treehouse, Executive Director of Preservation Chicago. One thing that's kind of special, well, there's many special things about this, but Tony doesn't realize that we met numerous years ago because I was one of the sort of fathers, if you will, of the Logan Boulevard's landmark district that we got passed in 2005 with Logan Square Preservation that I used to be an officer of and also a board member of Preservation Chicago. And I just wanted to mention that I'm grateful to you for your commitment to this building. This is a non-contributing building. We have a number of these in the Logan Square Boulevards district. And Tony and his wife and family were always gracious enough to, you know, restore and work on the house as they could. We're both graduates of Whitney Young on the first class. We won't even talk about how long ago that was. But I just wanted to mention that, you know, we enthusiastically support this reinvestment in a building that, you know, they could even demolish. And, you know, here he is really, you saw the emotional response tied to this house, tied to his family, tied to these neighborhoods that this family's been in for so long. And it's just wonderful to see this emotional outpouring and everybody coming together over Landmarks. Landmarks is a good story, I like to say, and it's one that we can all be happy and proud of, especially when you see the headlines in the news so often today. And then I also just want to acknowledge a gentleman that's representing them, Tim Barton, at the end of the table, who used to be part of the Landmark staff here for many years when there were 3 or 4 Tims working for the commission. And anything that Tim Barton takes up as a former city of Landmark, I will generally support. But you've got a wonderful team of people here and just want to congratulate them on coming to a solution that works so well. And I think it also, really quick, I think it also shows how flexible landmarks can be, and especially in landmark districts, and how this commission can be flexible in the department. And we want to encourage these colors, by the way, too, because I think you have a wonderful, you know, house that really almost stands alone there. And we're grateful for this reinvestment in your property. So with that, I just want to say Preservation Chicago boldly supports this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Are There are no more public comments, and so I'd like to call for final discussion. So commissioners.
Is there a way to get this to be something for you? No, it's not. Okay, that's.
Any other? Okay, there being no further discussion, I'd like to request a motion to approve the adopt staff recommendations. So the motion.
So moved.
Seconded by Commissioner Fair. Commissioner Rubin?
Yeah.
Yes. Commissioner Hughes?
Enthusiastically.
Yes, and I'm yes, and the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. You have a blank canvas, but you. Okay, there being no further business, I'd like to request a motion to adjourn.
So move.
For the year.
For the year. Woo.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Thank you.
everyone.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, Happy Hanukkah, yes. Does that begin today?
Yes.
That's what the billboards.
Oh, my gosh,
Yeah.
wow. Holy cow. And Kwanzaa too.
So, all right, thank you.
I met you, years ago, because I live in Logan.